Best couple of breaks of the entire match from Ronnie's point of view, and a great recovery red from him there, Steve.
Yes, it looked like he'd run out of position, didn't catch with the pack right, but he played this great shot. That potential, A, to take that red away from the black, but also he played it like two shots in nothing, not nothing, but in something, to get on the pink as well. Clever shot to keep the break going. And
this is the Ronnie O'Sullivan that a lot of people here have come to see.
Yeah, it was quite interesting seeing him walking out because he was having a little joke with Jan Verhaas. So he's obviously still fairly relaxed about everything. He wouldn't be panicking at all, but it was still important for Ronnie to get a frame on the board. And Judd will, I mentioned having a lead going into tonight. Judd only needs one frame to ensure that. Yeah. So he needs to make sure he doesn't panic in getting that lead because this could easily end up 4-4.
Yes, it could. And by the way, we were talking about emphatic scorelines and deficits facing Ronnie O'Sullivan. Well, this wasn't in a final, but it was here in 2012 at the Masters. It was a quarter-final against Judd, and it was Judd who strode out to a 4-0 and a 5-1 lead, only to win 6-2. Obviously, it's first to 10 today, so it's not without precedent here, Steve.
No, and Steve and I chatted before, and I mentioned how Judd had the ability to win 2, 3, 4 frames very quickly in one visit. Well, the man in that chair there, Ronnie O'Sullivan, he's the master at doing that, at keeping his opponent in his chair, just one visit, break after break after break.
Plenty to enjoy potentially going forward in this final, isn't there?
Yes, and impressed in some respects with Ronnie O'Sullivan, even though he wasn't getting perfect position, struggling, clipped the green on that cushion and messed his position up. Other players will sort of drop their head and showed some exasperation. He likes to challenge Ronnie O'Sullivan, so I'd expect him to sort of like be pretty focused for the rest of this session. Not that he's fine of the Masters, he would be, but every now and again you see a player sort of throw the towel in a bit, just when he's sitting in his chair. But he still seems to be very focused, and even if he didn't go to the practice table in the interval, it doesn't mean to say he's given up.
Okay. Yeah, we've got 3 more frames this afternoon, so back to John and Dennis we go. He's on the march.
Yeah, certainly the majority of the 1900 in today will be hoping so, Hazel. Just want to see a good final, don't we? It's a good cue ball here. Doesn't want to bounce this too far off the ball cushion because there are red, or a red on the right hand side, and that's exactly what he's done. He needed to have that cue ball pretty tight to that ball cushion off that shot. It was always looking dangerous if he didn't. So he's managed to get the first frame on the board, Dennis. How's his long game?
Yeah, this will be a test. As you can see, his long pot success down at 25%. So let's see if that confidence is fully restored with this shot. Very good. And the terrific little flick off the blue also.
That was well sorted out as well. Just thinking difficult angle to hold the cue ball there, so you could get in effect screw into it and come round the angles. And looking at it, it's not a brilliant chance this at the moment. A little bit congested around the black spot.
7. Yeah, a bit like the last frame, but because they were so difficult, he really did have to focus and concentrate very hard, and it was a superb 69 break that he made. As you mentioned at the time, John, there was very little on.
He got down and pointed his cue there, and where Ronnie would love to finish would be on the red to the left and below the black. He was having a look before. He thinks if he can get this one out of the way, the black will be available.
Well, Ronnie's gone back to his seat because he knows it'll just take a little while for Jan Verhaas to get the pink. Is near to his own spot there in a direct line behind it without touching that red. So Ronnie rather sit in his seat until Jan has got the pink respotted. Big advantage in this sort of situation when you're about 6'4", 6'5", as Jan is.
Thank you. 13.
Yeah, played that nicely, and of course he can just flick the other red away with a little cannon here. So already solved the problem of that congested area around the black spot.
21.
Quite quickly too.
I think sometimes it's as if Ronnie was thinking 6 or 7 shots ahead rather than normally you're thinking 2 or 3 shots ahead. You're playing into areas,
22.
but his snooker brain is quite something. He seems to figure the situation out very quickly indeed.
$29. 30.
Looks like the red's available in the middle.
37.
And also he can cue it quite nicely. Doesn't look like the cue's going to be hampered by that red that's close to it.
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
Yeah,
37.
Amazing. These middle pockets are so tight. When we were doing the shot of the championship, we were in on one of the practice tables, and Stephen Hendry, we were looking at the angle of the yellow into the middle pocket, and you know, it used to be in the old days on club tables, it's so easy to pot in the middle pockets, but these championship tables, the middles are so tight. And there's a gap through for the one, and there's also the red to the right, so important for Ronnie to jump on that miss from Judd. It wasn't an easy chance he had, but he's been knocking those in. He played that with a lot of bottom, didn't he?
Yeah, and you're playing up the nap. That's one you can end up hitting thick if you're not careful, which is what he did. He'd be exceptionally disappointed with that. Always a shot you have to play on the thin side if you're going to drag it.
Well, that's certainly opened the Reds up. And that 37-point advantage could soon evaporate if Judd can get a chance.
Yeah, it was also pretty well played from Ronnie, wasn't it? Okay, perfect world. You'd like the cue ball glued to the cushion, but it wasn't a bad attempt. The only problem is, that's what happens to you when you play someone who can pot like he does.
1.
Excellent. Another good shot required here, though. Now, can Judd get back the momentum he had before the interval?
5.
1 or 2 shots suggesting he'd slightly lost it. And he's
6.
not made the most of the chances he's had, so can you restamp your authority on the game?
Well, Ronnie decided to play an attacking safety shot, opened the reds up, but
12.
as Joan said, when you've got a potter like Judd Trump, this was the safety shot, really opened everything up, and Judd picked out a cracker there.
Yeah, I think if I'd have played that safety shot, I'd been quite happy going back to my chair, thinking that was a pretty good attempt, and then this is what's happened.
Frames to be played in this session. It'd be a
80.
possible 10 to be played this evening. But if Judd can get to 5 frames, you're guaranteed a lead going into this evening session. In fact, it'd be 11 this evening.
19.
A little bit weak with the cue ball. It's like cut back now on this black. He shouldn't have to have been playing, but obviously you would expect Judd to knock it in, but not quite as he liked it. Two reds that are stuck to the cushions obviously will be
26.
a problem, particularly the one on the left-hand side.
$27. $34. $35.
Yeah, I don't think that flick he had on the red before has put it onto the pink in a safe position. I think that's still available. The red stuck close to that pink.
$42.
So got himself into the lead in this frame. A lot more work to be done to get over the line.
43.
Yeah, the one here, the left side cushion, is the very awkward one.
Doesn't want to be too straight on this. Would like to have had a bigger bounce
49.
than that with the cue ball. Don't like the angle on this very much.
Well, he does hammer them into these corner pockets at times. I mean, that is quite amazing.
50.
The cue power he's got on that. And to make sure the red get in at that pace. Just look at the action he got on that white ball there. That's all about the angle he gets when potting this red and the colour. You really need to
57.
move that red. It's even though he's a left-hander, it's not in the ideal position.
Tell you what, the last shot was good as well. So much work on that cue ball. He was virtually straight on the black. Come back with reverse side. Widen the angle out. Pretty happy how he hit the last one. What's this now? Comes off the cushion. There's the side, widens the angle. Pretty good shot. So it's all about a bit of billiards,
58.
Dennis.
And I think he might just be okay. He might just be able to roll this and bring the red into play. He'd rather shift it than just drop in behind it, even though he's a left-hander. But is it the perfect angle to knock the red out? We'll find out very shortly. With a little shake of the head tells me it's not a natural.
I think he's run half a cue ball too far for perfection.
See, he only needs the black and a red. You see, to make the angle, you might have to put a little trace aside on this. Well, it's moved it off the cushion, but I'll tell you what, it's still a very difficult frame ball, this.
65.
He did very well to get the can, and the way he was shaking his head, I thought he was on no angle at all, but he just managed to chip the outside of it. So, big shot.
Well, that was Judd's brother there, Jack, applauding that shot. That was a very good pot under the circumstances.
Judd Trump, 66.
Yeah, very good from Judd, that. Very good indeed. Opening red was a cracker. And the rest of the break, very good too. So putting the pressure right back on Ronnie.
Foul. Judd Trump, 4.
So 5-1, it looks like.
Two.
And the O'Sullivan had breaks of 32 and 69 in the previous frame. And Judd's done exactly the same in this frame.
5.
Yeah, the red in the middle pocket for Ronnie when he split the pack up. We mentioned they were pretty tight in the middles, but he had a chance there, and then of course Judd missed, and Ronnie had the chance of the red in
9.
the balk area. So he had a couple of chances in the frame. He can't have any complaints. But Judd's opening red was a cracker, Dennis, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and just a little
14.
bit of Judd's naughty snooker here. Just something he always does to entertain the crowds at the end of a frame. It's not disrespect, it's just something he likes to do.
20 and the frame.
He's not going to bother with the black. That was
Judd
a
Trump.
terrific response from Judd Trump there. That magnificent break of 66 paved the way to giving him the frame. He now leads by 5 frames to 1.